So now we are going to go to the second part of the software, which is applications. Now this is where you're going to hear me talk a lot, and it's going to be most of the information that is in this webinar is in this section. So when you just hover over applications, you're going to get the sub menu here that has these 4 options here, which are these, and we're going to go into detail, of course. So view current results, that is, we're going to go in detail on it, but that's where you just very quickly to help you understand, that is the full roster of your applicants. View applications, that is the individual application. A little note, if you right now you just opened up your ERAS, you've never been in it yet for that season, whatever, and I'm going to go straight to it, and I'm going to go right here and go nowhere else first, do nothing else first, and I click on view applications, it's going to automatically take me to the first application in the list. If it's been a month, I've clicked around a little bit in it, I've kind of gone through the applications, blah, 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 all that sort of thing. When I click and I did that same thing, I'm going to log into ERAS for the day, I'm going to go to view application, it's going to take me to the application that I left off at the last application I was looking at, which is nice if you're going through it. They didn't do that the first year, and then you would have to keep track of like where you were at in the list, which can drive you crazy, of course. So they actually had updated that feature so that you can do that now, which is great. Manage filters. You can see I kind of went out of order, but there's a reason for it. These are where you're going to go most often. Manage filters. Manage filters is like, it is like the irresistible addiction for the coordinator in the software. It's the coordinator's favorite part of the software are filters. And of course, I will go into depth and tell you why. And that is where I'm going to spend most of my energy on. Exports. I'm not saying most of my time. Most of my time is going to be on the applications because there's a lot of detail, but most of my energy will be on filters. And then there's exports. So filters, some people may be like, what's the difference between filters and exports? Filters are just a way for you to limit what you see on the screen, or what's showing up in your list, basically. Exports is how you take the data that is within ERAS, not the documents, the data within ERAS, and get it out of ERAS to do stuff with. So things like get it uploaded to things like Thalamus and Interview Broker, so you can use them for your invitations, and get it into Excel if you want to do like manipulation, reporting, and of course mail merges. All right, now applications, view current results. Again, it sucks that I can't show you the actual screen of these things, so I showed you what parts of the screen I can show you. So for view current results, it's basically you can see everyone that applied. And so when you click on it, you're going to have something that looks like this. The only difference is that this is not going to be expanded, and here is the top of the header of that section. And so under here, you're going to have all the lists of the applicants. So so yeah, you can click on their application. You can click on their application by clicking the hyperlink of their name. So if John Jones is our first one, you can click on him. Oops. You can click on him, and it's going to take you into the view applications part we're going to talk about in a minute. You can sort, as you can see, let me explain this to you a little bit. I'm not going to explain this quite yet, but this is, I highlighted this because this is how you expand this to filter, but usually this is not expanded. Then you have here, you're going to say this is your results based on whatever is applied here, which for this is active applicants. So then you can refine results by doing different things. I don't usually do that. You can sort by too. I don't usually do that either. But here you can see how many pages of applications you have. This is how you can change how many records are on a page. By default, I think at the beginning of every season, they reduced this to 25, which drives me crazy. So I think I only ever had one fellowship that could fit on a screen of 25. So I always change it so I can see the most amount of things on a page. And then over here, displaying results, this is how many applications are in your currently viewed filter. So if you have all applicants as your filter applied, that's how many total applications you have. If you limited it to like people from your medical school, that might be like 5 people or whatever. I don't know. Every medical school is different. So just so that makes sense a little bit. You can sort very quickly by any of these columns that you want just by, I think it's double clicking it, and then it will like sort it. It automatically sorted by applicant name, and I have never felt a need to sort it by any other way, except for like one time I didn't want to look it up and somebody flew by me quickly and wanted to know how many people from my medical school had applied. And I just sorted it that way so I could go through and just like count them, because it usually wasn't more than 10. A little note about this category, this column here. If you are working on recruitment for a fellowship, this column is going to say most recent residency. If you are working on recruitment for a residency, this is going to say most recent medical school. So just so you know, you're probably like, that's not what mine looks like. Now I'm going to talk about the section here. So it's important to understand that this is how the filters are applied, which we're going to go over in a few minutes. But it's important to know that there's like this quick filter that you can do right here called all applicants or active applicants. Now, if you're just opening up the season, it's the beginning of the season and things like that, and you're putting your applicants, they're all going to be active because you haven't put any kind of other statuses on them, which we're going to talk about what that is all about in a minute. But if it's been like a month or something like that, or your program director's been looking and things like that, if you want to see how many total people are in your list, or you're trying to apply a filter to the total people, you got to remember to take a look at this if something doesn't seem right. So one year there was like a little glitch that happened to me in one of my fellowships from a previous specialty, and I kept looking and it kept saying we only had 7 applicants. It was a fellowship, but we usually got at least 20 applicants. So I kept looking and kept looking. It kept saying 7, 7. And I was really concerned about that as the season went on. And I was like, there's gotta be more than 7 applicants. If not, we're doing something really, really wrong. And I need to find out what it is. I was like, I think I even said something to the program director, who happened to be the chairman, and was of course very involved with the national organization to do with that fellowship. So I was like, is there not like a lot of applicants this year or something? And he wasn't giving me the answers I expected. And I was like, well, let me go back and look, something seems wrong. I hope I didn't do something wrong, because there is another thing I didn't cover in the AAMC softwares where it has you sign up so that you display on the ERAS page that you're participating, because some fellowships may not participate because they take somebody internally. So that's a good thing to know. But yeah, turned out that some filter was applied. I don't even know how it was applied, and it turned out we did have 20 applications. So now my favorite part about the screen isn't only the fact that I can see everybody that applied and how many applications there are, but is this very, very discreet little box at the bottom right corner of the screen. And so many people do not know it's there, even if they've been doing this a few years. I don't even know how that's possible, because I don't know how people are looking at applications, but I've seen and heard it way too many times. So I want to make sure you guys know what a great, wonderful thing is down here in this bottom corner. So it's called bulk actions. So you'll scroll down to the bottom. You're like, what's she talking about? And down here in the bottom, it's going to say action to perform on schedule on selected applicants. This isn't going to be expanded, and it's going to say bulk actions in very light gray colored fonts. That's why it's so unassuming. It's a fantastic section. So basically you can do any of these things that you see in this list on more than one applicant at a time. So you can update their status, their attributes, their notes, all at once. You can send a bulk message. You can view and print reports, but like I said, I don't really use the reports. You can do, you can view and print the application. Probably the most important thing that you're, as a coordinator, are going to do on the screen. So you can do like however many of the people that you want to print their applications for all at once. And then CSV export, but there's a better way for that part, so I'm not even going to talk about it. And then assign applicants. So we're going to talk about that. So basically what you do, and again, I can't show you because the people, but right here, this is like the very right part of the window that has their medical school. And And then over here, where you can't see it because I blocked it out, is their names. And then there's little boxes next to their names. So you can click on the boxes of who you want to apply this, whatever you're doing to. So one of the first really good things it's good for is sending messages to more than one person at a time. So you would click their names and then you'd say send bulk message. The most often reason I use this for is thank you for your application, but sorry, basically. It's that message. I know I sound a little cold, so if any applicant is watching this right now, it's not how I really feel about you. It's just me explaining the software. So yeah, so then you you can click all their names, you can click bulk messages, and then the email interface of the software will come up on the screen. So let me talk just really quickly about the email thing within ERAS. There is many different ways you can email somebody. One is doing this where you do multiple people at a time and it'll open the interface. The other is if you're in their application and you click on their email, like you want to send them an email, same interface is going to open. And then another place is in the bulk messages, which we're going to talk more about in another video. So, but it all has the same functionality with each other. So just to let you know. So you open that up, you'll see that all your people that you selected, their names are in the thing kind of grayed. That means that they're all going to be blind copied. So they don't see who else all is getting the email as well. One of the most common questions. You can say, so you can like put in their subject line, you can put in the body of the email, and then at the bottom you're going to see something that says save as a template. So if it's something that you send on a regular basis, even like something you send just every year, you can, as you type it up and you're like, this looks beautiful, I got it written just right, I'm so happy. Then you can click save as template and it will always save it. And you can access it from any of these email interfaces that I'm talking about, including in the scheduler, which we'll get to later. And then I highly, like the most important thing I want to say is that when you're communicating with applicants, I highly, highly recommend that you only do it through ERAS. The reason for this is as soon as you send them a message through ERAS, it gets attached to their application. Then every reply they do through ERAS is attached to their application. So in any of my emails I send in ERAS, I do not give my email because I don't, unless it's like something extremely personable and there's like, it's usually the stuff that just doesn't happen often, like something happened and you gotta like reschedule or recommunicate things in a more personal manner or something like that, or it's more urgent or something like that. That's the only time I don't do it. But like for just like everyday communications, like the status, where they can find their stuff, you know, where they need to, all that stuff, I keep in ERAS. The reason for that is because it makes it part of their application. It makes their replies part of their application. So if you get that one applicant that is just not very nice, and you're like, this dude is not very nice, and it's concerning me because of course those things bring up red flags for further on in their training. And if you're maybe a coordinator that's maybe a little quieter, you know, and you're like, I don't want to create drama, that sort of thing, then at least if they were really yucky to you but very nice to everybody else, you can see like the proof is there in their application. So that's why I say that. The next most important part about this software, this part of the software, is printing applications. This is probably the thing you're going to be the most happy about. Obviously, sending messages that way is great and you're going to use it, but the most important thing you're going to do is print applications. Is I don't know how else you print the applications besides doing it this way. That's why I said I don't understand how people not know about this and then don't know and still print the applications, but whatever. So, so all the data that's in ERAS, including the documents and everything, you can print into like a PDF application so that on interview day, you can give that to your faculty and they can have it available. So when you do that, you're going to view print applications. View and print does the same thing. It's just going to send it to PDFs. Obviously, you select who you want to be part of that. And then another interface is going to open, and that's that application interface, and it gives you all the selected It gives you all the things that ERAS has available that can be part of this application, and you click whatever you want. Usually I just click everything except the photo, because what happens is the photo will print on the part of the ERAS application, but it also, because it's uploaded as a separate document, so it will come out on a page all by itself, like really big, just their photo. So it's kind of a waste of a piece of paper since it's already somewhere else in the application. So that's the only thing. You can reorder it based on however makes sense to you, your program, whatever. But one thing I want to say about the order is just be consistent. Obviously for this print job, it's going to keep it the same for everybody, but make sure you keep the order consistent throughout the season, because that is one of the most unnecessary stresses that you can put on your faculty while they're in the middle of an interview going, where's those letters? I can't find them. But if you put it in the same order, they can know how to find it in all of their applications. And of course, when they get stressed out, they are like, you're the first one to talk to. So then what will happen? Oh, it also asks you this question here: print applications to separate documents or print it all to one document. I do not know why you would want to print all the applications to one document. I don't even know why that's an option. Every time I talk about this, I try and figure out a reason why you would want to do this. But I always click print applications to separate documents, which means that there will be a PDF for each applicant. Then when you hit print, a little message comes in that says, your job has been sent to the bulk print request. Please check for that. And I'll talk more about that in a second in detail, or not in a second, at the end of all this. But what happens is it gets put in a zip folder, and you have to remove the files from that zip folder and then put it in a folder so you can actually do something with it. And then the file names will automatically default to the candidate last name, first initial, underscore, and their AAMC ID number, which obviously that's not a real one. And obviously I'm not a candidate, so that is a completely fake name. And then usually they like have a bunch of this mumbo jumbo numbering, lettering after that. You can rename however you want to do it, the files, but I just keep it that way because in the very beginning is the important part of the name. All right, the next really cool part of that bulk print request is where you can assign applicants and reviewers. Now, if you are a program that only has one person review all of your applications, you don't have to listen to the rest of this. It's not going to be a useful part of the software. However, if you are someone that you have multiple reviewers that look at applications, you can assign applications to each reviewer. Now, if you do it this way, you can assign it. I didn't know this for the longest time, and one of my faculty is the one who brought it to my attention because I had made an attribute for them to put their scores because I couldn't figure out how to do it. Didn't realize that this part existed like this. I knew the tab was there, but I guess I didn't really know what it did. And then one of my really on cue faculty members said to me one day, should I put it here or should I put it here? And then I'm like, I didn't even know that existed. So if I didn't, I'm sure many of you may not have known, or you're all going, come on, Chris. Anyways, so this is if you have a review team to review your application. So what you do is you like click whoever you want to do, you click assign applicants, and then you click to who it's to. A few notes is that whoever you're assigning as reviewers has to have a be set up as a user in your program. So we'll go over how to do that later, but just keep that in mind. And then once you do assign them, when you get to the application part, you'll see, and we'll talk about this more in detail in a minute when we go over the application stuff, you'll see under their demographic information that they were set up, like which reviewers they were assigned to. And then in that particular applicant, you click on in the other tabs section, this reviewers, and then you'll see their scores, something like this. You'll see that there's a little plus sign here. If you click on that, that's because the reviewers can put in a score and they can put in a note. So if it's like one they were kind of going back and forth on the score, they can add notes of why they decided what they decided. So, but it's not super important. You can run filters off of this later on. So for exports on it. And so then I could have the scores that showed up in an Excel sheet. So I had one program that had each applicant had one reviewer, and it was just because there were just so many applications. And then, so what I would do is I would sort it by the highest to lowest scores. And obviously, the highest scores would be the ones that would be on the immediate invite list. But if it was too many people, then the program director would look at it and he would minimize the list to know which ones to invite first. Then another program, we had 2 reviewers to each application. And so what we did was, again, we had to like export it. And then I had to, for each applicant, average out those scores. And then that was the final score. And then if we had way too many high numbers, again, the program director would limit the list or organize it in a way that you knew how to invite people. So that's the useful thing with that.